Well, and there was a piece in the film, and this is the crux of why I wanted to do this interview.
Hmm.
Your grandfather had a soda shop in the
Yeah,
50s and 60s that's downtown, and you wanted that's really why you wanted this job, because you wanted,
yeah,
his legacy and um his love for the town to come full circle. And that
yeah,
is one of the great things about Wytheville, is that you're here because your grandfather was here in the 50s and you loved the town the same way he loved the town in the 50s. I'm here because my dad was chief deputy of the Wythe County Sheriff's Office for 15 years and the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and thank God I got him on the Civic Monument last year, because he just passed away in October, and I'm glad that he can be placed where he deserves for all the things that he did for the community that a lot of people will never know about.
yeah, yeah. That's
So,
great.
but I mean, we're here because we had other people that came before us that cared about the town. Is
That's
is
correct.
the point I'm trying to make, and so what I would love to see is one of those old fashioned soda shops where you can get malts. I used to have go all the way to Mount Airy and do the Mayberry thing to get a good old fashioned malt,
Yeah,
and it was a Walker's soda fountain in Mount Airy. Was run
yeah.
by Wythe County native. Actually, she graduated from Fort Chiswell with my mother, and they closed last year, so I can't even go to Mayberry to get a good malt now.
Yeah.
Frozen in Time did the mixes for a little bit, but nobody bought them, so they didn't keep them. So, what are the chances, Mr. Wolford, that you might be able to reopen that soda shop on Main Street?
Oh, Zach, that's a interesting question. And it's one honestly I've never thought of.
There you go.
It's that's a good question. I'd love to see something like that come back. I am not a business owner. It's not something that I aspire to be. Unfortunately, my family are a bunch of business owners, but it's just you know small businesses are really tough,
They
uh,
are.
and and restaurant businesses, especially on a small capacity, are really tough. Um, I think if I could say anything about the small businesses in our community and the ones that want to open in the future, our community really has to sustainably support these businesses, or they're just not going to be around.
Right.
The small businesses are what make main streets like ours unique, and
And
if the community doesn't support it, they just can't stay open. So we have to just, I think of anything as a community, we have to support these businesses more than once, two times, three times a year. We have to make it a point to come down and support these local businesses because it's what makes it unique. It's what makes our community different from everywhere else and all the box and chain stores that you see.
absolutely.
We want to create an atmosphere that you can only get right here in downtown Wytheville. But to have that, we've all, as a community, got to do a better job at sustainably supporting these businesses, whether it's retail, restaurant, or excuse me, whatever it is. And that's how they're going to stay around for the long haul. Uh, and luckily we have a good tourism base that we're driving people off the interstate now that are making it to downtown, which historically they didn't because there wasn't a lot down here for them. But now
Mm-hmm.
that there is, they're making it down here, uh, and they do a great job of supporting. But the local people are who live here, and they're who have to support these businesses for them to remain in business. So I encourage everybody that might listen to this just consciously make an effort to support local businesses. Otherwise, they're just not gonna make it. So I think we all have to do our part in doing that.
One of my favorite local spots is the the Burger Express.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And I did a great interview with Larry Sherritts last year, for this podcast and an article for my column. I was honored to do that, and that's one of the great spots. And thank goodness, Frozen in Time moved in there. It's a place that I support regularly. But you're right. That led me into my next question, because I've seen things in downtown Wytheville with the hotel and with the theater that I only thought I would ever be able to dream of seeing. You know, with it thriving as it is, and but that being said, we have such a long way to go. We have these businesses with the unfortunate passing of Wayne Roop. We have Kinser Miller is gone. Gwen Furniture is gone. Even the office supply with the big pencil, again with the unfortunate passing of Wayne Roop, is gone. And these are decades long businesses, generations long businesses that we've had to say goodbye to, and that hurts the heart of anyone that loves downtown Wytheville. And
Sure.
like you said, we've got to rally around and keep these, because we want to keep Burger Express thriving. You know, we want to be able to. It was, I mean, it was so nice. My friend Jeremy Miller, he is my chauffeur when I have things to review and I don't have a driver, because as people know I'm handicapped and do not drive. So if I'm going to cover these things, I need a driver. But it was one day, it was not cold out. We went to St. Paul's Church to hear Albert Newberry play in concert, and then we went to Burger Express and had dinner, and then we went across the street to the Millwall to see the Drifters concert. And what a great day that was! And I was able to get 2 stories out of something, and I could park my van in one place and go to all 3 of those places, and for somebody that has mobility issues and difficulty moving around, that is not easy to do. It's not easy. I can't just jump in any car and zip somewhere in 15 minutes and go do a review. It's not that simple. It has to be done weeks in advance. I have to make sure I have a driver, and weather has to be conducive. Chair has to be working. Van has to be working, and there's a lot that goes into each one of my columns, and I'm kind of amazed that I've lasted as long as I have because of everything that does go into it. But the fact that I could do that in my own hometown, where you used to have to go to Charlotte or Roanoke or somewhere like that for an evening like that, you plan it out of town,
Isn't that cool? That's cool, isn't it?
To do it in my own hometown was great. And honestly, Todd, I'll tell you, if I could afford it just for my column, I would book a week. I would book a week in the Bowling Wilson Hotel, and I would take a vacation, and I would go to only places here in town. I'd go across the street to the Millwall and take in a show, and I'd go down to Burger Express and have dinner, and we could do the things as a tourist, because when you do that, you open yourself up to things that living here you never had an idea what was here. Yeah. We have so many museums downtown that are free. So many exhibits, I should say, that are free, that people could go and look at and see the very rich history of this area, and not have to spend a dime, really.
And, it's interesting you say that. A lot of people call it a staycation.
Yeah, and I would love to do that. That would be like a dream of mine. If I could afford it, I would book a week and then just like go to the Wolford House, and then go go to the Millwall and then take in all the things they would have, and I guarantee you it would be as full a week as somebody would spend in Pigeon Forge per se, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, really. There's so many, and I'm guilty of this at times. It's the mentality that it's always better somewhere else,
Yeah,
and but the community that you might be saying that about, those people are coming to our community saying that about their community. They're coming to Wytheville
exactly.
saying it's. So I've got family from all around, and they used to not want to come to Wytheville to congregate, but now, especially in a post-COVID world where you're trying to like get away from people, they want to be here. They want to come to Wytheville. So the city folks are making their way to Wytheville, and I'm seeing it every day. When I go to the coffee shops or I go to lunch or wherever it is, I see more people that I don't know than I do. And what that tells me is they have a reason to come here. They want to be here. And what the local community, I think, needs to be more aware of is that a lot of people get in an autopilot mindset. They go to work, they come home, if they have kids, they get their kids, they go to ball games, and you quickly, it's so easy to not see anything outside of that. I think if you just take the time, like you said, and come downtown or anywhere in Wytheville for that matter, but especially if you come downtown, you may see things, you may understand that there's a lot to do here that you don't have to travel for
Mm.
anymore. So, the people are traveling here to do it from out of town. So I just wish our own residents would come down and see all that there is to offer versus complaining about what there might not be.
What
You know what I
there's
mean?
not, what is not here, because a lot of people that are doing the complaining don't really know what they're talking about because they never take an opportunity to look at what is here. And
Well, I'm glad you said it, and I didn't have
well, it's my show, so I can. But it's but that's that's the point, and that's why I wanted to be a part of this campaign because I know. I mean, I think maybe sitting in the position that I'm in, where I am limited and I don't have money to say like fly all over the country and take vacations.
yeah,
Um, and particularly when you do spend money to go on vacation and you say, well, I'm going to do this, and they say, well, it's not handicap accessible, sorry, and
yeah,
then that's it. Um,
yeah,
I, to be able, maybe from where I'm sitting, and maybe by being limited in certain ways, I'm able to take in and appreciate the small things, and
yeah.
maybe that's why I was meant to be a $12 a week newspaper columnist. So I
Well,
can.
more people need to have your mindset, Zach. More people need to slow down a little bit and take in the things that are around them, and maybe get off social media a little more too, and just
You
you
bet.
know we so if more people could just slow down a little bit and take it in and realize that Woodville is a great place. It's a great place to raise a family, a great place to live, and just get out and explore it a little bit more. You might find something that you didn't know was here.
And being handicapped, I don't know that any community in the world would afford me the opportunities that the community has afforded me with my job as a newspaper columnist, because in reviewing things around town, I've gained a certain amount of respect, which I treasure and honor, and I try to give that back to by delivering quality things. And again, that's why I wanted to be a part of this campaign. Like,
Yeah,
what can I do to put my stamp on this? Because I love Wytheville too, and I think Wytheville deserves to be number one in Main Street America. So
well,
you know,
I appreciate that.
I
Well, what you're doing right now is part of it. So I appreciate that.
I want to be a part of that, and that's why I messaged you and said, when you win, not if you win. I want to cover this. So
Yeah.
whether you actually win or not, I want to be, I want to maintain kind of an active dialogue with you and I'll check in every
Yeah.
so often and just say, hey, I'm here if there's something you think I can do. Um, don't forget me. So if there's an opening
Sure.
for a board member and you think I qualify, I would be honored to be considered.
Okay.
Because
Certainly.
you know, I really the the film really got me excited because talking about the soda shop,
Hmm.
with your grandfather, I'm obsessed with the '50s culture. My favorite uh, show is I Love Lucy, and I think uh, the reason that I like that period is because it's one of the very few times in American history where we were prosperous, where we didn't have to worry about war or getting shot on the street or things like that. Our children were safe, or and so and as it was, um, Wytheville was a bustling place
Hmm.
in the 50s, and a happening place, and you could have that staycation. You could go to the Millwall for a dime and see a movie, and go down the street and have um, a soda, a homemade ice cream soda, and
Yeah.
go to a restaurant and Durham's restaurant and eat a fine meal, and then go to the George Wythe Hotel and spend the night. You know, and if anybody out there wants to help me with that staycation, I mean, I would love to be able to cover that as a hometown person who did that as a tourist. And I did do that one year. I think it was in like 2010. My The floors were being redone in my home, and I had to stay in a hotel. So my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time and my best friend at the time, um, we did a staycation, and we went around to all the museums. And this was before there was a Millwall, and this was before there was the Bowling Wilson Hotel. Now,
Yeah.
to be able to do it now, where there's all this stuff, you know, that would just be that would be really really something, because there is something happening in downtown Wytheville. You talked about the parades, the Fourth of July event.
Hmm.
My wife, I mean, I live on Fourth Street, so I was able to go. I didn't have to drive. I was not walk, but I was able to roll from my home to Main Street via the sidewalks, because my dear friend Jackie King made all the sidewalks level for me from my house to Main Street. So that's one of the last things that she did when she was in office. God bless her. And I'm very thankful to live in a town where somebody with my voice and my limitations can be heard and say, we have a right to see these things and do these things as much as anybody else. And
Exactly.
and not only to be heard, but to be listened to and actually was taken into action, and those things were evened out. I mean, you don't know what that means to me, and you don't know how grateful I am to Downtown Wytheville, that because to review really cool things, I don't have to go to even to Marion, to the Lincoln. You know, I was going out of town for all of the big stuff. And now I can just go around the corner, and I love it. You
Yeah.
know,
It's great.
we went to Burger Express the night that the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra was in the park, and I was able to do the Heritage Walk, the brand new walkway. The weather was beautiful, and we could just walk right down there. No steps, no nothing. and I could go straight from Burger Express right to Elizabeth Brown, and
That's great.
it was a great night. So I guess what I've said is just say thank you to Downtown Wytheville for what you're doing. Um, Thank you for what you're continuing to do. Thank you for considering everybody. And please let me be a part of what you continue to do.
We'll certainly keep you in mind and keep in touch. And um, I just appreciate the interview and everything
Yeah.
we've chatted about. It's been
Well, I hope we've covered things that you think are important, and I hope I haven't done too much of the talking.
no, I think it's great. I think people can gravitate, even the things that you said. I mean, you can't take for granted um, your own hometown and what's available here. Just got to kind of get out and explore and see. I think folks might be surprised what all is offered here.
Yeah, and really, it is a place because yes, I do have a disability, and I am disadvantaged, I suppose, physically and societally, on a whole. But I'm in a community where I was able to find a wife and raise a family, and that is a very rare thing for somebody with a disability. There are not many people that want to take that on as a caregiver, because my wife is not just my wife; she's a caregiver, and
Yeah. Yeah.
most of the time that mix does not work. And
Yeah.
thank God it has worked for the last 16 years, and I have a perfectly healthy child who's going through the school system right now and is growing up here in Wytheville, and I have a dream that most people in my situation do not even, they can only dream about. And
Well, that's great to hear, Zach. And
and
you just keep doing what you're doing, bud,
well,
because you're a voice that people want to hear. And I appreciate you taking the time to let me say a few things and be on your podcast here. And, you know, I'll
well,
keep.
a large part of what I'm able to do is because I live in a town where people give me the space to do those things. So
Yeah.
that's the reason I say thank you to the town of Wytheville for being my hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you and Megan for your friendship all these years, and your brother Brandon. We go way back, and
Yeah.
Wolfie and I might have gotten in a little trouble over the years, but
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe so.
as thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for letting me be a part of of the campaign, because
Yeah. So
Wytheville's very important to me.
thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. And stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll have some good news in April, and maybe we'll come back on and chat about it.
Yep, yep. Well, either way, I think we're gonna be talking again soon. So
That sounds great,
thank
buddy.
you again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks a lot.